Item. SCP-1032. Object Class. Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1032 is to be stored in a high-value inanimate item cell at Sector 19. One unarmed guard is to be posted inside the cell at all times to prevent tampering. SCP-1032 is to be monitored at all times by a high-speed camera fitted with a macro lens capable of no less than 20x magnification, or greater as necessary to ensure that all text on the hands is legible. The footage from this camera is to be searched daily for any instances of any hand passing the 12 o'clock position. Midnight events. See description. After each midnight event, the new text for the hand involved must be recorded, and its current speed and estimated time to midnight calculated. Description. SCP-1032 is a silver alarm clock of unknown make and origin. The clock is made from silver, plastic, and glass, and bears 22 hands of various sizes and shapes. The movements of SCP-1032's hands do not measure the passage of time. Each hand instead measures the time until the end of an ongoing event or the destruction of an extant entity. White text on the front of each hand, in sizes ranging from barely legible to microscopic, describes the event to be measured by that hand. When one of SCP-1032's hands reaches the 12 o'clock position, several events occur simultaneously, the combination of which is referred to as a midnight event. First, the event or entity currently written on the hand ends or is destroyed. Second, the text on the hand spontaneously changes to describe a new event or entity, which need not bear any relation to the previous one. Third, the hand's rotational velocity changes. To date, SCP-1032 has never been wrong. Every event appearing on its hands has ended precisely at the moment of the corresponding midnight event. It has accurately predicted the deaths of over individual organisms, the fall of governments, the dissolution of major agencies and institutions, the death of a language, and the beginning of the. Since any given hand's speed remains constant at all times except during midnight events, the time to the end of any entity measured by one of the object's hands can be predicted precisely. The hands are designated SCP-1032 to 1001 through 1032 to 1022, in order of size from smallest to largest. The following is a list of SCP-1032's hands and their current inscriptions. A full log of all relevant past inscriptions can be found at File Access Restricted. SCP-1032 to 1001. Current text. SCP-1032 to 1001 rotates too fast to have a constant measurement. Predicted date of next midnight event. NA. Notes. SCP-1032 to 1001's only recorded text to date has been one of the three following: a thought, a sound, or a sensation. SCP-1032 to 1002. Current text. The worst thing that will ever happen to anybody. Predicted date. SCP-1032 to 1002 moves too slowly to measure. Notes. Due to the vagueness of this inscription and the impossibility of calculating the time until its next midnight event, no useful information on SCP-1032-2 is available. SCP-1032 to 1003. Current text. My Euclid classification. Predicted date. The 9th of January 2015. Notes. As SCP-1032 has yet to manifest any properties warranting a Keter classification, Dr. Edison has proposed that SCP-1032 should be demoted to safe. This proposal is scheduled for review on the 9th of January, 2015. Yes, blindly following this prediction isn't very productive, especially when it's probably just going to make us change it back anyway. But the way these things usually work, if we don't demote it, it might start doing things that force us to make it Keter. We have enough of those things on our hands. Thank you very much, Dr. Edison. SCP-1032-1004. Current text: The universe. Predicted date: data expunged. Notes: it is unknown whether this refers to the actual end of our universe, to the end of all entities that could be referred to as universes, or merely to the end of the concept of universality. SCP-1032-1005. Current text: a failed infomercial. Predicted date: NA. Notes: SCP-1032-1005 moves very quickly, cycling 2 to 5 times per day. To date, it has never displayed any other inscription. SCP-1032-1006. Current text: freedom of the press. Predicted date: the 16th of May 2073. Notes: SCP-1032-1006 does not specify the country or countries whose freedom of the press will end. SCP-1032-1007. Current text: humor. Predicted date: the 22nd of March 2052. Notes: NA. SCP-1032-1008. Current text: the use of the phrase "you can say that again." Predicted date: the 22nd of March 2267. Notes: NA. SCP-1032-1009. Current text: hostilities between the nations of Africa. Predicted date: data expunged. Notes: as SCP-1032 has often predicted violent or disturbing events using apparently harmless phrases, this inscription is considered equally likely to predict peace in Africa or the destruction of the continent. SCP-1032-1010. Current text: Jason W. Taylor Jr.'s sister's daughter. Predicted date: the 14th of October 2029. Notes: to date, all inscriptions on SCP-1032-1010 have described individual human beings. These people are usually difficult or impossible to identify and locate. On the 12th of April 2011, however, SCP-1032-1010 predicted the death of D-56342, a Class D subject then assigned to SCP-1032. 5 minutes before his predicted death, the subject was sealed in an airtight steel chamber with 2 guards. All 3 were equipped with self-contained breathing apparatus. Despite all precautions taken, D-56342 expired exactly at the predicted time. His guards were initially unable to determine the cause of death, until it was discovered that his oxygen tank had mistakenly been filled with the pressurized VX nerve gas used to control SCP. Further investigation is in progress. SCP-1032-011. Current text: President's term in office. Predicted date: Notes: is currently the President of SCP-1032-012. Current text: Burger Joint. Predicted date: the 4th of July 2016. Notes: all SCP-1032-012 inscriptions describe non-corporate restaurants. On the 6th of October 1993, in an attempt to keep hot dogs from closing as predicted, the SCP Foundation donated an anonymous $10,000 to the restaurant on condition that it remain in business. The owner renovated and renamed it SCP-1032-013. Current text: 2020. Predicted date: the 1st of January 2022. Notes: researchers are attempting to discern whether or not this will constitute SCP-1032's first failure. SCP-1032-1014. Current text: radio's viability as an art form. Predicted date: the 25th of October 2032. Notes: to date, all of SCP-1032-1014's inscriptions have referred to mediums of art. Whether the inscription predicts the actual end of radio or merely its usage in art is unclear. SCP-1032 to 1015. Current text. Effective containment. Predicted date. The 9th of April 2690. Notes. SCP-1032 to 1015 will achieve its midnight event at approximately the same date as SCP-094 will fully engulf the Earth at its current rate of expansion. SCP-1032 to 1016. Current text. Project Serapis. Predicted date. The 2nd of November 2016. Notes. Data expunged. Data expunged. SCP-1032-020. Current text. Predicted date. Notes. Is a popular Mexican soap opera. SCP-1032-021. Current text. The SCP Foundation. Predicted date. Data expunged. Notes. Data expunged. SCP-1032-022. Current text. Concern for public health. Predicted date. The 28th of July 2032. Notes. It is unclear whether this inscription predicts a lack of need for concern or a lack of concern in general.